Guys, Carl from Studio Incar. Behind me, not this one behind that one, just up there, is a Honda S2000. We don't do many S2000s, they're a little tricky. The boot's sealed off, the doors aren't much cop, there's only a single DIN head unit hole, there's no aperture for double DIN other than imports. Yeah, they can be a little bit awkward, so I don't think it's not us that choose not to do them, we just don't get many requests because people are just happy, you know, using them as a driver's car, or they just don't want to go too far with the stereo because they're awkward to do. But we can do them. This one's got quite a specific brief. So Simon had this car, I think, from new, sold the car, and then noticed the car was back up for sale. I think I'm probably butchering this story, Simon, so forgive me. Noticed the car up for sale and has bought it back. And he wants it to be renewed. He wants it to be a new car again for him. So a semi sort of nostalgic, sentimental kind of project, which is cool, you know. So what he wanted to do is bring it a little more up to date. He did want an in-dash double DIN. He does want a heads-up display. Wanted his system. He wants it to be reupholstered, things like that. So we've done a number of little touches on this car, which are quite extreme when you look at them from outside of the box, but once it's all together and done, it'll all work pretty seamlessly, you know. So I thought I'd show you it halfway through this time, and you can get the gist of the amount of work it takes to do something like this. Let's have a little walk around the car, and I'll try and point out all of the little things that we've done throughout the build. We're probably around a week away from the car going to upholstery, where it'll have seats, dash, center console, door cards, the lot really. Yeah, let's have a little look. I'll see what I can. We've had it a little while, so see what I can remember that we've done to it. This is one of the cleanest S2000s I've ever seen. Now, we've had it for a couple of months now, and it spends its life next to the fab room. It may have to go outside every now and again when it gets moved around, so it's a little bit dusty, but there's no point in keeping cleaning these cars. You may as well let them get as dirty as they're going to get and then clean them when they're finished, because otherwise you just run the risk of marking them up. There's just no point. It's lovely to have a slew of clean cars in the workshop, don't get me wrong, along for that, but you can't help but get them a little bit dusty throughout. So in the boot, all completely standard. Everything looks completely standard until we lift up this lid. When you move that lid, there is a 5-channel DSP amplifier, so the LC5.1300 from Audiocontrol, that runs the whole system, and it's cut and fabricated in to the original toolkit, so it takes up no footprint whatsoever. Run nice and cool. It's got plenty of space underneath. There's a gap between that and the floor, and that's what runs the system. That type of amplifier installation is right up my street. That is perfect for me. So let me show you what's quite possibly my favourite part of this entire project, and there's a lot that's gone on with it. This is a magnetic charger for a C-Tech piece of kit. This was tricky to get hold of. What Simon wanted is a way to externally charge the car. He doesn't want to have to keep popping the boot or popping the bonnet, you know, crocodile clipping the charger on, things like that, run the risk of keeping it snagged up when he drives away, stuff like that. So we dug this out, we found it, and what happens is pop this lid down, and we attach that magnetically, and that just sits there charging the car, doing its job. It pulls off, the weather clip goes up, job's a good one. That is mustard, love it. Right, what more? So inside the car, of course we're fully loomed up, okay, so we've got all of the cables are inside the car, ready to be linked up. The only ones we haven't got in there are the steering wheel controls for the radio, which I'll point out in a second. In the front, we have Dynaudio's MW102 So the Easytech tweeter, and we have the MW162 Easytech GT mid bass in there, which is it's exactly the same as the standard mid bass, the standard Easytech mid bass. It's just slightly slimmer, which is easier on the doors in terms of installation. So they're all built deadened, everything's deadened inside there. So these are quite a substantial door now, rather than the sort of tinny door we get from standard. You'll notice that the dashboard's out. Now, we tend to try and not remove dashboards, all right? It happens rarely around here. We count on both hands how many times we've done it in the 12-year history of the business, simply because it's intrusive. It's very intrusive on the car. So, you have to be in the right frame of mind, and you have to do a good job when you're removing the dash. Everything there is kind of undisturbed. We've had to remove a loom and things like that. But the reason we had to do it is because these cars don't come with double din units. They don't come with double din apertures. You can get a cheesy fascia you can just import it, but it never really works. And the one way to do this, if you're upholstering the dash, so if you want to trim your dash in Alcantara, or even if you wanted to flock it or whatever, you can do it like this, and you can fabricate it into the dashboard. So when something is in fabrication and it isn't trimmed, it looks massive. It looks, like it isn't going to work, because the colors are a lot brighter than the OEM colors. It looks 10 times larger than it is. When that's trimmed, all of these lines, all of these sort of hand sanded and handmade lines, which perfectly flow with the dash, they will all fall into place when this looks one color again, and that will fit there seamlessly with a double din hole. All right, and this is a Sony 5650 CarPlay unit. That's their top unit. It's 520 quid, and it is absolutely brilliant. It's rapid, simple to use, and it sounds great. And I've mocked up this dash quickly. It's Stuart that built this, but I've mocked it up quickly today so I can show you kind of loosely what it will look like when it's all one color. I can hear people shouting now how disgusting it is that you would do something like that, but you're just going to have to trust me. When it's trimmed, that will get a lot smaller and a lot more OEM looking, and we will have an S2000 with a full-on 2022 CarPlay unit. The functionality will be through the roof. One other thing that needs doing to the dash is a heads-up display, which we're going to mount here, just covering that corner of the vent, a very small portion of the vent, which will reflect the speedo onto the windscreen. And if you come with me, you'll see the beginnings of this just come out of the printer. So that's a printed section, that whole surround. Stuart's got his plans. I've probably got it in backwards, but I don't know. And that will be bonded to a composite base, so that we can bridge from the composite base to that printed panel, and then that becomes a push-in affair. Because if it turns out that that's not what he had in mind, we can just remove it. It's just a lift up, possibly magnetic, but we can just lift it up and take it off. But it is in the brief, and we have discussed it, and that's the area it was due to go in. So yeah, we're spending a lot of time on these bits. These bits have to be done properly. They can't crack. They have to look decent. We can't have them looking garish. So try and imagine this all one color, and you'll see it'll just dull it right down and make it a lot smaller. So yeah, that's why the dashboard's out anyway. Anything else? What have we missed? So under the bonnet, just standard stuff. So we've got our 4-gauge fuse housing and 4-gauge cable in there, direct from the battery. Battery's off at the moment. We've fitted a Cat 1, so a Sigma Cat 1 to this, alarm and immobiliser, which gives him remote door unlock and stuff like that. And yeah, and the Blackview DR900 up front to keep him his witness camera. Keep an eye on those pesky UK motorists, the ones that just cut you up. But yeah, that's halfway through the S2000. I thought it'd be worth you seeing it while it's all apart like that. Like I say, it's not often that we take the dash out of a car. We used to do it kind of more early on when we did a few clock deletes and stuff like that, when we were a little bit more into the competition side of things. But we don't really do it that often now. You know, car audio's changing, business is changing. But when it calls for it, like I say, the right mindset, the right installers, get the job done properly. So yeah, that'll be wicked, that, when it's done. So yeah, the next step for that probably won't be a video now until it's finished, like finished and done, which won't be for a little while, because it now the dash has to be mocked back into place, loosely bolted up, then it goes to the trimmer, and then when it comes back from the trimmer, then we finish it all up, make sure everything's perfect, and then it's collection time for Simon, and he gets to see it for the first time. There's not been many pictures of this. We've kept this one a little bit quiet, not for any particular reason really. It's just when you're working in the zone like that, you haven't got time to focus on marketing it or images and things like that. So yeah, it's coming together really nicely. So we'll keep you posted with the finished product. But if you've got a car or a project and you haven't got a hole for something and you want some ideas, then, you know, give us a shout. We'll be able to do it. It's just whether you're willing to compromise or not. You know, for this, we had to cut a hole straight in the middle of the dashboard. I don't like cutting holes anywhere. The middle of the dashboard's a bit of a crazy one, but we didn't want it looking bolted on. We want it looking integrated to the dash. So yeah. Anyway, sun's out. I'm Carl. This is Studio Incar, and that's part 1 of the S2000. I'll see you when it's done. Bye bye.